Finding the function values using identities. Example 3.31. Find the indicated function value given the indicated conditions. So sine of alpha is equal to 3 over 4, and alpha is between pi over 2 and pi. Find cosine of alpha. So we can use your fundamental identities and trigonometric identities or Pythagorean identities to get cosine of alpha. Okay? And so how do we do that? So we know that the square of alpha or the square of sine of alpha plus the square of cosine of alpha is equal to 1. And so we shall use this to find cosine of alpha. So by transposition, the square of cosine of alpha is equal to this. And so cosine of alpha is equal to the square root plus or minus the square root of 1 minus the square of sine of alpha. Now, so this is where this information will become helpful when you got here. Because you have to choose. Is it positive or is it negative? This information is going to be helpful, and that will guide you. That will tell you what is the sign to use, positive or negative. So again, you have to go back to how we are defining our sine and cosine. So what we do is we shall trace an arc, and this alpha here is in the second quadrant. Okay? So that's what it means to be alpha is between pi over 2 and pi. It is here. It is here in the second quadrant. And you know that cosine function is negative in the second quadrant. And so you will choose the negative. Cosine is negative in the second quadrant. So what then is cosine of alpha? Okay, so by substitution, this is equal to, okay, so let us show it. Let us simplify 1 minus the square of sine of alpha. So that's going to be 1 minus the square of 3 over 4. Okay? And this is equal to 1 minus 9 over 16. And you know, one of the tricks that I came to always remember when I am simplifying fractions, what I do is I write 1 as 16 over 16. And this one is 9 over 16. And so 16 minus 9 is 7. And we just copy the denominator. And so this is equal to the negative of the square root of 7 over 16. And you know that the square root of 1 over 16 is 1/4. So this is negative of 1/4 times square root of 7. Example 3.31, find the function values using identities. Find the indicated function value given the indicated conditions. Okay, so we are still with sine of alpha. Sine of alpha is 3/4. Our angle is in the second quadrant. Find cotangent of alpha. So by now you know what is the importance of this information. That will help you decide the sign to choose. Okay, so how do we compute for cotangent of alpha? We already know cosine of alpha. Cosine of alpha is equal to this. Negative 1/4 times square root of 7. And so using our fundamental identity for cotangent, cotangent is just cosine divided by sine. So by substitution, negative 1/4 times square root of 7 divided by 3/4. And so this is a complex fraction. You can write this as negative 1/4 times square root of 7 times 4 over 3. 4 divided by 4 is 1. And so you are left with negative 1/3 times square root of 7. So this is what cotangent of alpha is equal to. It's negative 1/3 times square root of 7. And so the fact that this is negative, negative agrees with this condition. In the second quadrant, cosine is negative, sine is positive, and so cosine divided by sine is going to be negative.